Well, ooh, look at that light coming down. Whoa, whoa, what is that? Am I being, is that you? Yes. Wait a second. Let's see if I can polish that out or if it's this light here. That's probably what's doing it. Oh, anyway, you caught me playing with my image. Well, it's Friday, the 27th of October, 2023. It's almost a full moon, and what a full moon it is. And I'm looking forward to the weekend. As a matter of fact, I'm looking forward. Constance and I are going to lunch with the famous, the notorious, the legendary Carolyn Tilley, uh, the authoress. Okay. I sat on Carolyn's master's degree committee at Cal State Long Beach a number of years ago, where she was getting ready to mount an art exhibit of things that she fashioned out of metal and crystal and things like that, all based on the Qabalah. And oh, she's got a new book. She's a master, truly a master, capital M, master chef. And for years, she was the catering director at the Music Center in Los Angeles, the Dorothy Chandler Pavilion. Uh, and so anyway, she's an old, dear, dear friend. She literally bought the wool blanket that keeps Constance and I warm every night. And she's coming because her new book is on the culinary Crowley. And I've put the announcements and things like that up. She's done all sorts of wonderful research. Went to London to the Warburg Institute to dig up Crowley works concerning food and Crowley's own decadent culinary habits. But anyway, she's coming to take us to lunch. So I'm looking forward to that. But speaking of Qabalah, and another dear sister, Anita Kraft, wrote a book called the Qabalah Workbook for Magicians. And she was generous enough to allow me to introduce that book or offer a foreword. That book's now 10 years old, so we're celebrating sort of the 10th anniversary. And I thought I'd share it with you today because the book I'm currently writing has got me up to my elbows in Kabbalistic / tarot material. And so I'm going to read this. Oh, I've included it into the book that I know you love the cover. I know you've thought about buying this book. And you go, well, I've got so many other DuQuette books. He doesn't need me to buy another. Yes, I do. Especially here toward the end of the month and the beginning of another month. I would encourage you, if you don't have it already, to allow me to introduce by our good friends at Wiser. A plug. The Qabalah Workbook for Magicians, a guide to the Sephiroth. Forward to the 2013 edition. That was Wiser Books. Kabbalah is not a belief system. It is a way of looking at things. It's a way of organizing your universe so neatly that you eventually discover your own place in it. That's a quote from Rabbi Lamed Ben Clifford in his Chicken Kabbalah. I'm an old hippie. In 1967, however, I was a young hippie. I had very long hair, dressed in colorful sweatshirts and karate pants. I went barefoot a lot. More importantly, I had enthusiastically embarked, with the aid of psychoactive chemicals and the works of Paramahansa Yogananda, Alan Watts, Dr. Timothy Leary, and the Beatles, I embarked upon a journey of self-exploration and discovery that continues to this day. The mid-1960s were a cosmic aberration, a crack in space-time. It was certainly a remarkable season of history, an exhilarating and magical age to be alive and young. In that golden moment, it was possible for a shallow young bumpkin from Nebraska, possessed of no more intelligence or wisdom than a turnip, to stumble naively into the sanctum sanctorum of Montslavat, and with cud-chewing nonchalance take a good long slurp from the Holy Grail. I came away from those early psychedelic experiences with the technicolor realization that God is consciousness. Consciousness is the secret of existence. Consciousness is the secret of life. And I am that consciousness. Mind-expanding drugs were just what was needed to blast open the heavily barricaded doors of my constipated and medieval perception. But once that gate was duly and truly breached, I was faced with the fact that the obstacles that remained on my path would be far more subtle and difficult to remove. These occlusions would require the use of more delicate ordinance. For spiritual nutrients, I grazed upon the obligatory classics of Buddhist and Hindu literature. I graduated from drugs to the quiet disciplines of meditation and Eastern mysticism. I cut my hair, I went vegetarian, and fancied myself a yogi. Yes, I was all prepared to be a first-class Eastern mystic. At least I thought that's where I was going. Something, however, just didn't seem right. On an intellectual level, I had no difficulty grasping the mystical concept that I, my real self, was something profoundly more than my body and my thoughts and my emotions. I understood that my real self was, in essence, the perfect reflection of the absolute supreme consciousness, the great whatever it is, within, which resides in everything, and of which the manifested universe is just an expression. It was perfectly clear to me that if I could only strip away all the things that I was not, then the only thing remaining would be exactly that. The only thing. And that only thing would be both the supreme consciousness and me. This, I concluded with youthful certainty, was what the Eastern mystics were shooting for. This level of consciousness is the profound nothingness of nirvana, the wall-to-wall totality of samadhi. All I had to do was strip down to my most naked me, and when I got there, my I-ness would disappear into the big whatever it is-ness. of the Supreme Consciousness. But alas, I was a very poor meditator. Oh, I could look like a pretty good meditator. I could sit still in my asana for long periods of time with a full teacup saucer balanced on my head. Yes, filled to the meniscus. My skill in pranayama was admirable, and I could hold the clear image of a working pendulum clock in my mind's eye for eternal microseconds at a time. But something was profoundly wrong with my work. And I'll wager that the austere reader has probably already identified exactly what was wrong with my view of this whole enlightenment business. Here, I'll say it for you. Mr. DuQuette, for a mystic, you use the word I an awful lot. Aren't you supposed to lose your ego as you near enlightenment? Bingo. Guilty as charged. I knew, of course, that eventually we must transcend identity with the ego to become the absolute supreme consciousness, just as we must transcend our identity with the body and the emotions and the mind. But for the life of me, I couldn't remove the objective me in the subjective disillusion of me process. I couldn't shake the idea of how cool I was going to look gaining enlightenment, how cool I was going to look with no ego. At first, I felt a little embarrassed about it all. But as serious self-condemnation has never been one of my virtues, I soon came to the giddy realization that I was simply trying to play Eastern software on my Western hardware. Perhaps I was hardwired by nature and Western civilization not to seek divine union by stripping away all things that I'm not, but instead of uniting myself with all things that I am. Profound emptiness and profound fullness are one and the same thing. The disciplines of the East oblige the mystic to look inward for union with God, and that's great for Eastern introspective disposition. The Western psyche, on the other hand, is inclined to look outwards. We love scripture and ritual drama that gives outward expression to inward realities. In either case, the supreme goal is the same. Which approach one takes is simply a matter of one's cultural temperament. I'm as Western as they come, so I'm an outie. I turned my attention to what the West might have to offer, and I began my search for Western software, a Western equivalent to the Tao Te Ching, a Western equivalent to Zen. And I more or less found what I was looking for in the Qabalah. Okay, that's just a taste. That's not the whole foreword to Anita's wonderful book. But that's what I'm going to share with you today. Anyway, I'm sure I've done it before, but it was just what was on my mind today. Again, it's from Allow Me to Introduce, one of the coolest book covers of all my books. It's called An Insider's Guide to the Occult, but it's my introductions and forwards to other people's books that I've written over the years. Israel Regardie, The Tree of Life, Legend of Aleister Crowley, Eye in the Triangle, How to Make and Use Talismans, and my introductions to the classics of magic, True and Faithful Relation of What Passed for Many Years, Opus Mago Kabbalisticum et Theosophicum, The Cloud Upon the Sanctuary, Light on the Path, and Don Craig's Modern Magic, and my introduction to Fredericod's QBL, uh, uh, Jake Kent's The Serpent Tongue. This one, the Qabalah Workbook for Magicians. The Secret Language of Tarot, Tarot and Psychology, and the Music of the Tarot. Thelemic Magic, Qabalah, Magic, and Thelema. Rodney Orpheus's Grimoire of Thelema and his Abrahadabra, Thelema, and After the Angel. My introduction to the Enochian magic classics, Complete Enochian Dictionary and The Lost Art of Enochian Magic, and Magic and Masonry, Freemasonry, and Mozart, Magic and Masonry, which was my speech, my introduction to the Los Angeles Opera's opening night of the Magic Flute under the direction of Placido Domingo. And our good sister Carolyn Tilley was instrumental in getting me to give the pre-opera lecture at that. And then finally, a magical miscellany, Finding the Way, the Tao Te Ching, New Hermetics, the Art and Practice of Geomancy, the Wiser Book of Horror and the Occult. Those are my little tidbits, introductions, forwards. There's a couple afterwards in there too. So anyway, that's it for today. Continue to be good to yourself, be good to each other, and enjoy this impending full moon. Tonight would be a good night to get out and howl. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law, love under will.